Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is the AMX 13F3AM. It's a Tier 6 French SPG located on the southwest spawn of Arctic region under the command of a fingernail clipping. And he's got the bouncy rotation device, rammer, and also the gun laying drive. Game on! Well, this is the Arty that the French made 621 of, so they obviously liked it, and it was made from the 13-ton tank, a light tank, so it was actually fairly easy for them to make. Very impressive. It's got a 155mm howitzer. It's capable of doing 630 alpha 39mm pen, 7.6 meters on the burst radius, between 11 and 22 seconds of stun. It's a very impressive Arty, and even more so when you think it's an airborne Arty. It was actually designed and made light so that it could be used by the air forces, or rather transported in the hold of an aircraft and delivered to the colonies. And as you know, France does have a lot of colonies, or did have. In fact, they still do to a certain extent. They've got colonies in the Caribbean and in the South Pacific too. Okay, you can see that impressive 155mm howitzer. Quite a heavy piece of kit on top of a 13-ton tank. The Arty was designed and built to replace the M41 HMC, the Gorilla, the American 155mm Arty. And he's knocked down a tree, so he'll have to change position, or the enemy Arty might work out exactly where he is. In fact, he's just got some stun assist of that last strike he did on the heavy tank number 6. Now, the standard reload by the book is 30.38 seconds, I think it is. 30.58. My eyesight's getting poor. But he's got a reload time, according to this, of 25.06. And he's just wiped out the VK2801. So it looks like he might have penetrated that guy and filled him full of, well, not lead, but hot steel. Okay. Now got a, is that a Sutter? It's a Setter, I think. Just goes to show how poor my eyesight is. Getting worse by the day. Now, one of the good things about this Arty is that it's relatively fast. It can do 60 kilometers an hour. Direct hit, 256. He got the bruiser medal. He knocked down another tree, but I don't think he'll be too worried about that. I think what his team are worried about at the moment is this OI coming up behind them. Now, he is loaded, so he's ready to shoot. He held down his right-hand mouse key there to keep the aim on target, and he's fired the round into the rear of the OI, and he's got another hit. Unfortunately, we are losing teammates. But the OI's gone down, so at least there's some reciprocity there. Okay, looking for another target. There are enemy tanks in the region. One down below near the waterside, and we can't see him at the moment. But up in the north, we can see a T-25 too. Okay. Now, the arc on this gun is 35 degrees, 15 degrees to the left, 20 to the right. And what he did there is he organized his arc so the target he was looking at was right in the center of the arc. And that means that he can make movements or adjustments to the aim without getting a reticule bloom too much. He is getting slight reticule bloom, but not a lot. Oh, now that's an interesting target. That is a VK3002D, and look at that. He got a direct hit on the engine bay for 326. Now, it wasn't a penetrating shot, but it certainly slows that VK down for a little while. That's the one, of course, with the 88mm gun, built by Daimler, or rather not built by Daimler, because they never got the go-ahead. Okay, so the two tanks that were actually blocking the south route have been spotted. But in fact, there are other tanks in the vicinity that are more worrying. That M4A3 EZ8, and he's kind of locking that TOG2 in position, stopping him from going any further. Meanwhile, the T-25-2 appears to have actually got some damage on our guys, or at least forced them back from the position they were in. And look at this, there's that VK again. And he went up on top of the hill to spot our guys and shoot down on them. Rouse out. That was very close to the target. Now, when this Arty operates, there's normally only 2 members of the crew in it. We saw a tree go down without anybody there, so somebody knocked that down. The crew that are actually in the vehicle when it moves about are, of course, the driver and the commander. And you can see the viewports for those 2 guys on the actual vehicle. The rest of the crew, and it's quite a considerable crew at that, would actually follow the vehicle in trucks, carrying all the ammunition. In the game, the Arty itself carries 25 rounds of ammunition, but in actuality they would have carried a lot more than that. I guess they're suggesting the amount of ammunition was limited because they're talking about the Arty ammo, or the ammo that's actually on the vehicle. That was a direct hit. Now that was interesting. He just hit the M4A3 EZ8. Now there's 2 Arty on the enemy team. They've got an M44 and an SU8, but the standard of the players is not likely to be a worry to a fingernail clipping. As you can see, a fingernail clipping is blue in color, which means obviously he's an experienced player, whereas the M44 is red, so he's a bit inexperienced. And the SU8, well, he's got a bit more experience, but not as much as a fingernail clipping. We've seen quite a few videos from a fingernail clipping as well, and at the moment he's knocking trees down to protect himself. That's because their team are, well, 3 down on the enemy. They've only got 5 tanks left, including him. 2 of those are Arty, and there are 8 enemies out there, so he's looking at this moment like it's going to be a very difficult game. So I would say, yes, it's okay to knock the trees down under those circumstances, as long as you realize that it might attract some fire, because the enemy will see all the trees knocked down and will be looking for the tracers. Okay, we've got a box tank there, an SU-100Y, and he's holding our TOG in the water at the moment. Of course, the TOG's only got a 17-pounder, but that box tank has got a 13-centimeter gun. Of course, the TOG doesn't want to get hit. He's got a lot of hit points, but he doesn't want to get hit by that 13-centimeter, because it would only take about 3 shots from that tank to take him out of the game. Now, the game's not over, even though at this moment we can only see 9 shells for a fingernail clipping. He's won with less. So, yes, considerably less. Direct hit! 255 hit points. I think you can see what I mean about fingernail clipping being quite experienced. He's putting these shells into places where the enemy doesn't want them to go. He's smacking them around. And I'm sure his teammates are appreciating this, because, of course, they're getting the spotting. And he's put another one in. Only 18 hit points off the T-25-2. Okay, so he's knocked another tree down to provide him more cover. There's still 8 enemies out there. Doesn't necessarily mean the game's over, though, because he can still win. He's lined the shot up. Rounds out. Oh, it hit the wreck up on top of the ridgeline there. One of the disadvantages of using overhead mode, you can't see if the wreck would actually be blocking the shot. So, although he stunned the enemy, he didn't get a kill shot. In fact, I think that stun came from our tank, our M44 dying. And he shotguns the VK3002D, takes him out of the game. So he's now up to 2 kills. But there's still a lot out there. This is where the value of those trees being knocked down actually does help. Because the enemy are finding it difficult to see where he is until they get close. The problem is the reload time. It's quite long. He's loaded. But he shotguns another one. The T25-2 goes down. And now he's got a Gauze medal. Now there are only 5 enemies left. The TOG-2 has just killed the SU-152, and now there's only 4 enemies out there. 2 Arty, the box tank. Now, can we provide any help? We might be able to take down the box tank. Rounds out. Direct hit right into the side for 230. We've given the TOG a chance. He could actually take out that box tank. He's not shooting, but he's still got most of his hit points. I think he wants us to take the kill. Almost loaded. 3 shells left. Rounds out. Kill shot! And that means now that there's only one other tank, the M4A3 Easy 8, and of course the 2 enemy Arty. The TOG was blocked into that position, jammed in. There's the SU-8. The TOG's out now. We could still kill this SU-8 with direct hit. Rounds out. And a direct hit kills the SU-8. A blind kill. Fingernail clipping, showing his experience, wiping out the enemy, even if he can't see them. He guessed where that guy was and put the shell in. He knew where the guy was backing up to. And that's the enemy RT trying to say, don't hit my teammates. But it's not going to help him. He's knocked down so many trees that it's very difficult now for the enemy RT to work out where he is. That and the fact that he changed positions after he moved. And now it's 2 versus 2, so it's completely changed around. It was 7 versus 10, now 2 versus 2. Well, 8 versus... yes, it was 8 versus 5, I think, at that point. But anyway, 7 versus 10. Well, the TOG-2's just wiped out the M4A3 Easy 8, and now they could win this game. There's only one enemy remaining. It's the M44, and he's the inexperienced player that I mentioned earlier in the game. They've genuinely got a chance, and that chance came to them because of a fingernail clipping. He did so much damage to the enemy team. And there he is. There's the M44. We're dialing in. We've got 3 rounds left to take him out. Let's see what he can do. Rounds out. And that's a counter battery fire medal and wins the game. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game from fingernail clipping in the AMX 13F3AM. Not his first ace tanker, he's had them before, but that's the sort of game that really puts the fear of God into any tank driver, because if he can see an Arty can do that, then maybe, just maybe, he'll probably want to try and play Arty himself and see what he can do in the same circumstances. We can see a fingernail clipping got a counter battery fire medal. He took out both enemy SPGs in that game. He also got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 17. He got a Gauze medal for doing more damage, exceeding 8 times the hit points of his own vehicle. The high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game and completely turning it around to a win. And he also got a Top Gun for getting at least 6 kills. As you see here, he got 6 exactly. His win rate was 10,443, which is super unicum and a lot more. Let's have a look at team score. Well, there you go. Top score was 3,713 hit points of damage. The next highest scorer was the T-29 on the enemy team with 2,288, followed by by our TOG-2, who got 1,991, and of course he was still alive at the end of the game. When it came to kills, yep, fingernail clipping again, 6 kills for him, 3 kills for the TOG-2 on his team, and also 3 kills for the SU-152 on the enemy team, their SU-8 and their KV-2R. In fact, actually, the KV-2R had 2 kills, sorry. So it was just these two, the SU-152 and the SU-8, who got 3 kills apiece. So he's in 3rd place. And when it came to base XP, it was actually the TOG-2. He stayed alive long enough and he kept spotting for us, even as fingernail clipping was ramming those shells into the side of the box tank. So he got 1,432, beating a fingernail clipping, but fingernail clipping got 1,369, and they were the only 2 players who managed to get over 1,000 base in the game. The next highest scorer only had 657 base, and that was their Tiger P. He fired 20 rounds, so still had 5 rounds ammunition left at the end of the game. He got 14 direct hits on the enemy and 2 penetrating shots, 16 splash. Damage of 3,713 hit points, of which 3,481 were at more than 300 meters. So the enemy was fairly close when they got into the trees, and he still wiped them out with a direct hit, a shotgun at close range. 11 enemy vehicles were damaged, 6 were killed. He got 470 hit points of stun assist of 10 stuns. On a free-to-play account, he actually made a profit of 52,676 credits from that game, including a 30,000 mission completion, and he also took away 2,738 experience points. But the best thing about that game was the fact that at one point they were losing badly, really badly, but it was a fingernail clipping who completely turned it around, and then with the help of the TOG-2, managed to get that into a win. So incredibly well played by fingernail clipping. Please give your hands and do ticket, give it a like for being such a fantastic battle. And if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below to give your appreciation to a fingernail clipping too. Hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, please give it a like, and thanks for watching.